Mr. John Edusei, Assistant Provincial Grand Lodge, North Ghana. Dear Mr. John Edusei, may the grace and peace of Christ be with you. I write in response to the letter that you wrote as a rejoinder to the statement issued by the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, Most Rev. John Bonaventure Quofi, CSSP, in his statement. Most Rev. John Bonaventure Quofi made it clear that one cannot be a Catholic and be a Freemason at the same time. I would like to comment on a few of the points that you raised in your rejoinder. 1. In your letter you stated, one of the key misunderstandings in your statement is the portrayal of Freemasonry as a quasi-religious system that undermines the unique role of Jesus Christ and the Church. Freemasonry is not a religion. It is a fraternity that promotes moral development, community service, and the pursuit of truth. In connection with this assertion of yours, I am going to quote from 3 authorities on Freemasonry who say that Freemasonry is a religion. The first one is Albert G. Mackey, 1807 to 1881. He is one of the 3 foremost authorities of Freemasonry in the United States. Mackey gave Freemasonry a library of basic books, including his Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. The Symbolism of Freemasonry, Mackey's Masonic Ritual, Lexicon of Freemasonry, and Textbook of Masonic Jurisprudence. The other 2 authorities are Albert Pike and Henry Wilson Coyle. Pike 1801-1891 remodeled the entire structure of the Scottish Rite and served as Sovereign Grand Commander of the Southern Jurisdiction from 1859 until his death. Coyle, 1885 to 1974, edited the massive Coyle's Masonic Encyclopedia, which was published in 1961. No other American Masons have had more influence and prestige than this trio. What these 3 say about Freemasonry being a religion must be considered authoritative. According to Albert G. Mackey, although Freemasonry is not a dogmatic theology and is tolerant in the admission of men of every religious faith, its probationary state. 1. Freemasonry goes beyond promoting the common good and moves into the realm of religion and soteriology. It claims that the practice of its principles will help a Mason to advance in his spirituality and get to heaven. By the practice of Freemasonry, its members may advance their spirituality and mount by the theological ladder from the lodge on earth to the lodge in heaven. 2. The lodge even claims that it is a divinely appointed institution and that no institution was ever raised on a better principle or more solid foundation point for Freemasonry, sees itself as a completely self-sufficient system of religious and moral teaching, whose members need nothing else to be spiritually edified, either in this life or the life to come. These 3 degrees first, second, third, thus form a perfect and harmonious whole, nor can it be conceived that anything can be suggested more, which the soul of man requires. 5. Moreover, Masonic writers, such as Pike and Mackey, have acknowledged that Freemasonry has all the attributes of a religion: temples, altars, prayers, a moral code, worship, vestments, feast days, the promise of reward or punishment in an afterlife, the Grand Lodge above, and a hierarchy. Mackey has no doubt in his mind that Freemasonry is a religion. Look at its ancient landmarks, its sublime ceremonies, its profound symbols and allegories, all inculcating religious observance and teaching religious truth. And who can deny that it is eminently a religious institution? Masonry, then, is indeed a religious institution. And on this ground mainly, if not alone, should the religious Mason defend it. Coyle expresses a similar sentiment about Freemasonry. Does Freemasonry continually teach and insist upon a creed, tenet, and dogma? Does it have meetings characterized by the practice of rites and ceremonies and by which its creed, tenet, and dogma are illustrated by myths, symbols, and allegories? If Freemasonry were not a religion, what would? Mr. John Edusei, in your letter you made the following statement: Freemasonry is not. It is a fraternity that promotes moral development, community service, and the pursuit of truth. How do you reconcile the moral development that you speak of with the Masonic notion of morality, which is relativistic? Alan E. Roberts argues in favor of a relativistic and subjective morality. What is moral to one man may be immoral to another. Each man must decide for himself what the word encompasses, taking into account the moral standards of the society in which he lives. He must set his own standards, his own principles. 15. Also going against your moral development is the fact that Masonic ritual makes no reference to the 10 Commandments. The reason is that they are part of God's revelation. Therefore, while most Masons would presumably agree on the grave obligations set forth in the Freemasonry's system of morality must exclude them from its non-sectarian theology. The Mason is required to swear that he will keep the secrets of a brother Master Mason inviolate when communicated to and received by him as such. Murder and treason excluded. 16. Edmund Ronan Handbook of Freemasonry instructs Masons, you must conceal all crimes of your brother Masons, and should you be summoned as a witness against a brother Mason, be always sure to shield him. It may be perjury to do this, it is true, but you're keeping your obligations. 17. Thus, Masonry's system of morality condones bearing false witness against another, which is a violation of the moral law. How do you, Mr. John Edusei, reconcile this with your statement that Freemasonry is a fraternity that promotes moral development and the pursuit of truth? Texas, Monitor of the Lodge, p. 19. See also Masonic Bible, p. 35. Alan E. Roberts, The Craft and Its Symbols, Opening the Door to Masonic Symbols. Richmond, VA 1969, p. 43. Wisconsin Multiple Letter Cipher, 113, ed. For in the section of your letter captioned Receiving Holy Communion, you state, the declaration that Catholics who are Freemasons are in a state of grave sin and may not receive Holy Communion is deeply troubling to me. The Eucharist is not a reward for perfection, but a source of grace for those who seek to grow closer to God. Pope Francis has emphasized the Church as a field hospital for sinners, not a fortress for the righteous. In spite of what Pope Francis says in this connection, he still affirms the Church's teaching stated in the Declaration of 1983. You are probably unaware that Pope Francis endorsed on the 13th of November 2024, together with Cardinal Victor, Prefect of the Dicastery of the Faith, a new document on Freemasonry. This document was written in response to a bishop from the Philippines who had expressed concern at the growing number of Catholics in his diocese who were taking part in Freemasonry and asked for suggestions on how to respond pastorally. On the doctrinal level, the document affirms the traditional teaching that active membership in Freemasonry by a member of the faithful is forbidden because of the irreconcilability between Catholic doctrine and Freemasonry. Cf. Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Declaration on Masonic Associations, 1983. It adds, therefore, those who are formally and knowingly enrolled in Masonic lodges and have embraced Masonic principles fall under the provisions in the above-mentioned declaration. In other words, the new statement also says that Catholics who are Freemasons are in a state of grave sin and may not receive Holy Communion. As taught by the 1983 Declaration, Freemasons like Hong Alexander Avenio Marquin and others that you may know need to take note of this and stop pretending that the Church's teaching on Freemasonry has changed. Mr. John Edusei, why is this declaration troubling to you? Holy Communion in the Catholic Church is for those members who are in a state of ger. Mr. John Edusei, you state that you are the Assistant Provincial Grand Master North Grand Lodge of Ghana. Indeed, you say that you are a leader within Freemasonry. I do not know what stage you have reached within Freemasonry, but I would recommend that you read 2 books by John Salza, a former 32nd Freemason who left Freemasonry and converted to Catholicism. He has written extensively on the incompatibility of Freemasonry with Catholicism. He has written several books on Freemasonry, including Masonry Unmasked. An Insider reveals the secrets of the lodge and why Catholics cannot be Masons. In the latter book, Salza argues that Freemasonry is a false religion that promotes a generic, universal deity which is incompatible with the Catholic faith. His critique of Freemasonry is based on his insider knowledge, having been a member of the organization for many years and rising to the 32nd degree in Freemasonry. He contends that Freemasonry's teachings, rituals, and oaths are in direct conflict with Catholic doctrine and morals. John Salza's work has been recognized as a valuable resource for Catholics seeking to understand the incompatibility of Freemasonry with their faith. After you have read the 2 books by John Salza that I have recommended, you will be in a better position to decide to be a Freemason or a Catholic. A Catholic Freemason does not exist. 7. With very best wishes and the assurance of my prayers. Yours sincerely, Most Rev. Joseph Asabonsu, Emeritus Bishop of Kanonga, Mamponga Shanti, the 30th of January, 2025.